The food merchants were once again holding a meeting. There, Munami mentioned her plan to organize an eating competition. In 2 weeks, the repairs to the damaged village walls would be completed. With security ensured, it was highly likely that more people would come to the village. And that's where, under the pretext of celebrating the wall's completion, they would hold an event. The food merchants seemed to agree with the idea. If there were prizes for the winners, it would also get people excited. Furthermore, if there were registration fees, they wouldn't incur any losses. Meanwhile, Boxxo was puzzled as to why he was dragged into this meeting. A few days after they opened registration for the eating competition, the food merchants came to Boxxo for help. Lamis and Hulami looked confused as to why they suddenly did this. After all, preparations for the eating contest seemed smooth, and Lamis had already registered for it. Hulami admitted that all their preparations were indeed going well. However, everything changed when they found out that Shui and the Bear Cat group had also registered. They were equally terrifying when it came to eating, as if they were insatiable. The food merchants panicked because they weren't sure if they could prepare that much food. Therefore, they wanted Boxxo to handle Shui and the Bear Cat group's bottomless appetites. Boxxo, who already had an idea, then turned all of his products into cola. Hulami remembered that bubbly sweet drinks easily filled someone up. In other words, if they provided that drink, the amount of food consumed would also decrease. However, Lamis was doubtful if the participants would be willing to drink cola instead of mineral water. Someone suggested letting the participants choose between mineral water or cola, but that would favor those who chose mineral water. Finally, they came up with a marketing idea to convince participants to choose cola. Until the day of the competition, they would advertise the cola and sell it at a high price. During the competition, they would inform the participants that they could drink cola for free. To make this plan work, the merchants all pleaded with Boxxo to sell this cola at a low price. Fortunately, Boxxo agreed. Minami was very grateful and said she would ask for help if there were any more issues. A few days later, the event had commenced. The food merchants were busy cooking large quantities of food for today's eating competition. Shortly after, Minami took the stage and announced that the eating competition was about to begin. First, there would be a preliminary round, and those who advanced would be divided into 2 blocks. After that, the top 5 participants from each block would move on to the final round. Minami informed everyone that they had prepared an extraordinary prize for the champion, pointing to a not too large prize box. Now the competition was underway. The preliminary round went by fairly quickly. Next, they were divided into Block A and Block B. Currently, the competition would continue with Block A first. In that block, there were Karyos, Gorth, Gagai, and the Bear Cat group. The time limit was when all the sand in the hourglass had run out. Some participants seemed to struggle with the hot fried chicken. However, not the Bear Cats. The 4 of them finished their food ahead of the others. The 5th participant to finish turned out to be Gagai. Next, it was Block B's turn to continue the competition. In this block, there were Akawi, Shui, Shirley, and Lamis. Unlike most participants, Lamis chose to drink mineral water only because she already knew the trick. Meanwhile, Shui continued to eat partly even though she drank cola. In fact, Shui was the first participant to finish her meal, followed by Lamis and Akawi. Lastly, 2 hunters also made it to the final round. After 2 hours had passed, it was time for the final round. As the participants took the stage, Boxxo used his new function, which was music, to try to liven up the event. The audience was puzzled about where the sound was coming from. In the final round, participants had to eat as much as they could within a specified time limit. The one who ate the most would be the winner. Unlike in the previous rounds, the food wasn't just fried chicken. There were also giant crepes filled with apples, bananas, and other fruits without any gaps. Boxxo had prepared the fruit fillings, and as usual, Shui devoured them eagerly. Even the spectators couldn't help but drool while watching Shui. 2 participants with the most empty plates at this point were Shui and Tsuko. And in the end, when time ran out, Shui managed to eat the most. When Munami handed her the prize box, Shui was confused to find it empty. Suddenly, Munami revealed that the real prize was the opportunity to use Boxxo for free for a day. Boxxo was taken aback as he hadn't been informed beforehand. Munami quickly persuaded Boxxo, as she had mentioned wanting his help if there were any problems in the future. What else could he do? Boxxo had already promised. Besides, he had already made a lot of money from selling cola. Afterward, Shui informed the other members of the Foolish People's Brigade that she would be using Boxxo for free for the entire day. Naturally, the others became envious. Kirioil even decided to go monster hunting while they had Boxxo for a full day. However, Shui stated that she wouldn't lend Boxxo to anyone. She had plans to take it to the starting level. Kirioil understood what Shui wanted to do and immediately gave up on getting Boxxo. After reaching the starting level and walking for quite some time, they arrived at 2 buildings in a desolate area. Shui then called out to the children living in those buildings. There was also a middle-aged woman they referred to as the head of the shelter. Lamis introduced herself to everyone. They entered the house and Shui explained about Boxxo, who was brought by Lamis. Shui informed them that Boxxo was a magical device that could produce items that were visible inside it. She pointed to the cola, which was her favorite drink. The children eagerly tried various products that were available. Boxxo himself felt happy to make these children smile. If things continued like this, he was even willing to give them everything for free every day. Suddenly, Boxxo transformed himself into a balloon vending machine. The children were delighted to get balloons. Next, Boxxo turned into a water sprayer. Lamis sprayed water in their direction so they could play as if it were raining. Even Boxxo transformed into a washing machine to wash their wet clothes. While waiting for their clothes to dry, they decided to take a warm bath first. However, when they went to the bathroom, there was no hot water in the tub. Usually, the older girls among the children took turns filling the hot water. 2 of the eldest girls admitted that they had forgotten to do it because they were having so much fun playing with Shui. The head of the shelter didn't scold them, but it would take too long to gather and burn wood now. Upon hearing this, Boxxo suddenly transformed into a form unknown to Lamis. It turned out he became a hot water dispenser. This way, they could finally all bathe together. While the others were taking a bath, the head of the shelter approached Boxxo to express her gratitude. She said that lately Shui seemed anxious, but today she looked very happy. In the evening, they had a hearty meal from the products provided by Boxxo. Boxxo was contemplating what else to offer, but he was also concerned that the children might become too reliant on receiving things from others. Lamis noticed that Boxxo's light was blinking, indicating that he was thinking about something. She immediately advised him to have more confidence. After all, it was Boxxo who provided the children with delicious food and made them smile. Once again, Boxxo was impressed by Lamis. He understood what the vending machine was thinking, even though it didn't say anything. While the others were already asleep, Shui woke up to thank Boxxo. She was very grateful for making the children here happy. Shui believed that Boxxo must have spent a lot of money, and she promised to repay him. However, Boxxo replied that he didn't need any repayment and even gave Shui a free cola. After that, Shui explained that this starting level was a place that everyone must pass through to enter the dungeon. In order to move on to higher levels, people had to enter this level and reach the magic circle inside. However, for some unknown reason, many people still lived in this level and couldn't reach the magic circle. This building served as a home for abandoned children and a gathering place for lost individuals. Shui wanted the people in this place to be happy. After sharing her story, Shui became embarrassed and said goodbye to go back to sleep. Sometime later, Boxxo realized that there was a group of people trying to steal him. One of them had seen Boxxo produce food endlessly. Boxxo had a plan to drive them away without involving the others in the building. Using dry ice, Boxxo created a smoky area around the area. He also transformed into a washing machine, making the sound of running water. The thieves were clearly frightened because there were no rivers or lakes on this level. Finally, Boxxo pelted them with ice, making them run away in a hurry. The next day, Boxxo told Lamist, Shui, and the head of the shelter what had happened last night. Boxxo had taken pictures of their faces and showed them to the head of the shelter. He said that they were former hunters who had set up a base around here. Upon learning this, the head of the shelter appeared angry and prepared her bow and arrows. Shui mentioned that the head of the shelter used to be a great hunter and was the one who taught her how to shoot. Rumor had it that the head of the shelter and the bear chief often went into the labyrinth together. Even Kirioil admitted that the head of the shelter was better than him. An hour later, the head of the shelter returned with a smile on her face, having used up all her arrows. She had made sure that the people from last night wouldn't bother them again.